Okay, we're going to give this a shot. This is running on Microsoft Expressions, free. Okay, so check it out. This is going to be a quick walkthrough. What we've got going on here is we are going to be talking about an application that is for storing parameters and specifications and building tests for anything that needs to have a collection of, it's a manufactured widget that have parameters that describe it. A parameter is just something like height, and it becomes a spec when you put a value on it. Like height is a parameter, it's a spec when it becomes height 6 feet minimum, because you can have a spec for a tall person and a short person, and those would have the same parameter of height, but they're going to have different specifications. Like a short person would be between whatever 4 foot and 4'6", and specification for Shaquille O'Neal would be 7 feet minimum. So let's talk about this. This is a classic data-driven website, and this is built on the .NET platform using Microsoft Visual Web Developer and their Express platform. And you can see here that this is running on 2008 SQL Server Express. This happens to be a Windows 7 PC, but we'll jump right into it. One thing I got to plug here and give you guys a great reference to how I learned about this and the great references that are out there. This does have security and it does require logins, so there's no reason for me to go build something where I'm going to inject vulnerabilities. So this happens to use the ASP.NET SQL Membership Roles platform, and you can see that by using your favorite search engine, this one doesn't track me, so they don't know when I'm looking for you. But you can see that if you type in this SQL Membership Roles, you can get directly to how to configure it. There's some 4 guys from Rolos, just incredible. Scott Mitchell writes in a format that totally agrees with my learning style. But just click through there. You'll learn everything there is. I thought Scott Mitchell was some well-seasoned genius with a gray beard and happens to be under 30. But this is just one aspect. And again, he's part of the .NET team. And then the application that we're going to be talking about is built by Spanjars and follows his model. Again, another member of the .NET team that's given back. Just search for the NLayered, go to the site, dig around for a minute, and you can see here he's built the same application over and over and over again, so that you can see from going back to Web Matrix and all the way up from the beginnings of .NET how the tools have evolved and how developing the same application, how the philosophies change over time and how it helps us with the repetitive tasks that we all need to do. Okay, enough plugging. Let's get down to it. Okay, so here we are. It's running. Oh, real quick, you can see that this is ASP.NET Membership Roles. It's running on the same server that houses the application. It's got a bunch of pre-built stored procedures for all the user management stuff that we have to do, built way better than I could build them, or you could build them. No offense, but they're better than you. And it has a collection of tables that store users, application, roles, like an administrator role, a medium level user, high level user. And what we're going to be talking about happens to be inside this HPA spec database. You could put it in any database you want, but let's quickly start talking about what this thing has behind it. I mentioned parameters. So that starts there. Height is a parameter. Weight is a parameter. So we need some way to create parameters and store them. It would be handy if we could categorize them also. So this thing has kind of the undertone or the spirit of creating DUTs, or devices that will be tested. Because why the heck would you make a spec and a collection of parameters and go through the trouble of building a front end to manage specifications and test procedures if you weren't planning on performing some tests to verify that your mousetrap meets the requirement? You need to demonstrate to your customers they're getting what they paid for, and you're going to make thousands of them with thousands of varieties, so you got to build this cool tool to manage it. Okay, So let's look at the classic structure for what a device parameter would look like. Okay, this is just a classic table structure that's got a primary key, devices under test, params. Okay, primary keys, parameter ID, it's an auto increment integer. It's got a name that you want to call it, a little alias, a nickname, data type. That's not really used throughout, but it could be there for you. You know, integers, bytes, doubles, text, whatever. Categorizing them into logical groups is great, so it has that feature also, and it has units. These fields aren't necessarily used for now, so we'll just focus on these few. I'm going to do the classic right click, and we'll see what's in here just to give you guys a flavor for what's in the table. You can kind of see a lot of RF style parameters. These could apply to anything like your classic Hittite amplifier. You're going to have an intermod spec. It's going to have a name of IMD. I skipped over the data type. I didn't really end up using those, but it's got units of DBC, and it's got a parameter category, and so on. You can see gain variation. It's got a nickname that's meaningful. Meaningful variable names are great. How about some other things? Maybe you have a mechanical specification for your sine vibe, nickname a sine vibe, GRMS, or how about you have something that has an attenuator? Maybe you call it attenuator range as a description, and you shorten it up in the alias atten range and dB. This is just a collection of device parameters. The categories are managed with the classic master detail level. I'll come down here, and you guys can see here in the parameter categories, it's just got an ID and a category name. It's just nice for boxing them in logical groups. I'll do another real select so you guys can check it out. I'm pretty sure this thing's it's recording. Boy, I'm already 7 minutes into this. Jesus. I mean, I'm limited to 10 minutes on this. I think that's 7 minutes for this particular video. You can see here they're grouped in this classic style format you'd find on any type of amplifier you'd get off a Hittite or any other microwave site. Linearity, environmental specs, power and gain, your extraneous outputs, your mechanical stuff, just nice logical groups. So I'll try to move quickly here, but I'm going to go over to Visual Web Developer. I've already got the site open. Here's another quick plug. When you've got your website up and you've got the ASP SQL membership roles installed, you get access to this. Look, I'm not running on the development server. I'm just here, and I can go over and I have 2 users and they have roles. I'm going to move quickly because I'm not sure if this thing's going to limit me or not. But let's fire up the website and we'll look at the crude little interface for managing parameters. I've actually got this separated into a test building section that engineers would use, and then a testing section or a data entry section that a technician would use. You don't really want your tech modifying specs, so they're separated. So let's give it a run. We'll open this up. You can see got a parameter GUI. Fire it up. We're going to start the web server. Got my local host. Alright, and you can quickly see here's the collection of parameters and their categories, just like we were talking about earlier. This is just a drop down list that changes the data bound source. You can see here as I change it, whatever, final QA. I can add one. Let's say we'll call this the paint texture. And I'll give it a nickname, paint text. I'm just going to ignore that for now and leave it at units are text, I'll say. Oh, how about I say roughness? I don't know what roughness units are, but you guys will get the idea. I got to spell it, and I'm just going to say no. Those aren't really used. I add it. Now it shows up in my list, and you can see I've got all kinds of stuff that are pre-built, kind of specific to an amplifier. But you guys get the idea. If I want to add a category, and these just make calls to inserts, and again, those are all going right here. If you notice, I see a lot of similarities. That's just doing a select on this table. Same table right here, and down below you can actually see the DUT parameters. When I come over to this guy,